And now we're going to do something which is sort of an experiment, but I'm really looking forward to this. Audrey Michelle and Jesse Finkelstein of Blues Radio International are live via webcam and Skype, and you can watch this on their Facebook page. Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you today?
Hey, it's a pleasure to do this. I've never done this before. This is pretty wild.
It's wild, but it's an honor for us. I know that there are a lot of people waiting in line for a chance once in a lifetime, perhaps, to be on Blues Zeppelin. So we are really honored to be here. And I've got to tell you, having spent time in your virtual green room, the A-listers back there, I can't wait for your listeners to see what comes on after us.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Cecile Duquingue really delivered the goods last October, and it's a great pleasure that I was able to rebroadcast the concert, the set today on the Blues Zeppelin, and that's one of the things that I'm very grateful for. There is wonderful support, public support, and foundation support for community radio, and specifically for the concerts. A Stiftung, a foundation for Radio and Kultur Schweiz in Switzerland, supported this initiative. Fantastic.
It really is, and it's so important. I know you and Audrey and I share this mission of bringing not only blues to the world, but live blues, so they can share the electricity of that performance, even if they can't be there. That's what we just heard, and what you bring to your listeners and have been doing for 3 decades. So we all owe you a debt of gratitude for all you're doing for the blues and for the blues musicians.
Well, I got to tell you, it's a labor of love. It's community radio is all volunteer work, and it's like my personal therapy. I love doing this.
Well, you're doing a lot for listeners. I think the role of radio now is much greater than it's ever been in our lifetimes. And when you think about what the effects of this global isolation are going to be long term, we'll figure that out. But for right now, you, Mark, are much more important in people's lives than you ever were.
Thank you very much for that comment. Now, Jesse, I know you're based in southern Florida, but Audrey, I don't know where you are.
Yes, we are appropriately social distanced by about 25 miles, I would say. I am in West Palm Beach.
Okay, so you're both in Florida. Now, you know, there's a lot of good music going on down there as well. Albert Castilla's been on the show. He's a wonderful musician. And I guess you have plenty of musicians, even locally, that you've had on Blues Radio International.
We have a wide variety of them. There's a big local music scene, as you referenced, Mark, but we also have a lot of great musicians traveling through here, or at least we have in the past, and we've been very fortunate. We have a fine music venue here, the Funky Biscuit, and many of the musicians who play there do interviews on our show, and we've been honored to have our affiliation with them to be able to bring this live music to people. I think right now there are a lot of people who are enjoying live music at home in the ways that it's being provided, but we should be mindful that for many people this is the only way they can get it. If they happen to be for medical or other reasons are at home, maybe it's agoraphobia. There are many reasons people can't get out to hear live music, so I think bringing this to them so that they can feel the magic and the real healing power of it is a thing that we need to do more of rather than less of right now.
I completely agree with you, and I know that in the last weeks you've had people on from literally all over the world coming to tell their stories about the blues. I know you had the head of the Blues Foundation, Barbara Newman, recently on the show.
Yes, we were delighted to have Barbara on talking about how we're going to have this virtual Blues Music Awards ceremony that I think, while people will say it's not the same as getting together, we're now going to be connected around the world. This is the first time that the world has been able to watch the Blues Music Awards ceremony in real time. So there are good things out of it. And Audrey, explain to the audience some of the places we've been in the past few weeks.
We have been to Switzerland a couple of times. We've been to Lille, France. We have been to Chicago, Oxnard, California, Los Angeles, California, Nigeria via Switzerland. We have been all over the world, Louisiana. I mean, you name it, Nepal. We've actually spoken to two gentlemen that are in Nepal in different sections of that country, and amazing blues musicians, adding some Indian flair to their, blues. And, we're just keeping it going with this antiviral world tour.
Let me ask you, that brings up a question, because it's something that I've noticed as well. Blues is truly an international art form. Why do you think it's everywhere?
I think it's everywhere for a couple of reasons. We all came from Africa. The first Adam and Eve came from Africa. So we all have that same heart within us. I think that the blues, in its most simplistic form, is 3 chords. It's easy to understand. It's something that's accessible. There's no person on the planet who is incapable of playing blues if you give them an instrument. If you can play 3 notes, you can play the blues. So we can all connect with it. We can all identify with it. And there's something about it. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but when we started down this road, Mark, I had no idea what it would be like as we expanded around the globe. Would countries with microtonal musical scales and traditions possibly relate to this? But people do. It seems to electrify people everywhere. And I think it also has a very important theme for us. It's the music of overcoming. It's not the music of subjugation, as Martin Luther King and Doug McLeod have both said. It's the music of rising up from wherever you are, no matter how difficult the circumstances. That resonates with every human being on the planet.
Yeah, I think right now blues is taking on a new importance. I mean, we all have this. It's a global challenge, and it doesn't matter whether you're in Chicago or Miami or in Bern, Switzerland. We're all dealing with this.
We are. We're all, for the very first time in our lifetimes, similarly affected by something. It's not a war that's in some far-off place. It's not a disease that's being suffered on a different continent. Every single human being on earth is affected this way. And it's an opportunity for us all perhaps to come together more globally. Mark, we would not be co-broadcasting with a man I admire so much in Switzerland if this hadn't happened. So thank goodness we reached this day, and look at what we're doing now. I think there are ways that we're going to find to stay connected, and I hope that we'll be doing this with you again, even after we're all free of quarantine.
Oh, absolutely. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. I wish it hadn't come in such a way, but I want you to know that I'm very grateful that we have connected in this way.
Well, it's incredible to be on with you. What are your observations on the way this is going to change our relationship with music, Mark?
Well, right now it's quite painful for many musicians everywhere. A lot of people are doing online concerts, asking for contributions, which I've been able to do. Fortunately, I'm in a position to able to do that. But I think this is going to be a long haul for a lot of musicians to figure out when the time will come that they'll be able to play live again. I mean, a lot of festivals are canceled. All the venues are closed. I don't really know how long this is going to go on.
Well, I will tell you, it emphasizes again that you're delivering this music to people without fail in a way that they can hear it. In our corner, we're trying to do our part. We broadcast on shortwave radio, so we hit the 2/3 of the world that doesn't have the internet. There are people who hear blues only because we're broadcasting it on shortwave radio. We also have a 24-hour music stream on YouTube, so people can listen not just to blues, but to live blues 24 hours a day, exclusive performances on that channel. And we're doing this with you. I think we need to try to fill in the gaps with the help of our musical brethren and all the fans worldwide to continue this very healing, compassionate, and important way of communicating with each other. And you're playing a vital role in that. We hope to do our part as well.
Well, I think this is a clear demonstration of the importance of community radio. This is a wonderful cultural phenomenon, and I'm very grateful to the members, not only here in Bern, because the Blues Zeppelin is rebroadcast in Zurich on Radio Laura, and in upstate New York on WRFI Community Radio in Ithaca and Watkins Glen. And I'm grateful to everyone involved supporting community radio literally on these two continents. It's fantastic.
It is. And what Audrey and I do is completely self-funded and without asking for contributions or support. I think that a lot of what is done that does such good is because of people like you, Mark, who work without compensation tirelessly, as if this were a job paying millions a year. It's taken that seriously because you believe in this mission. We share that with you. We're on different continents, but I'll tell you what, we're completely congruent in the way we're looking at the world and what we all need to do to make it a better place.
I want to ask you, because you also do some other things. I know Anthony Gerassi's been on the Blues Zeppelin, and I know that you're involved with producing some of his music as well. Why don't you tell us about that?
I co-own with Duke Robillard a record label called Shining Stone Records, another one, Blue Duchess Records. Blue Duchess does jazz, and we've had Scott Hamilton and Duke and a number of other great musicians. On the blues side, Shining Stone, we've had a number of releases. The most recent of Anthony's, Why Did You Have to Go, came out on our label, and I was honored to be involved in that. And Audrey was with me, with Anthony and the band, as we recorded the album that will be out over the summer, called Daydreams in Blue. We have some amazing guests. Monster Mike Welch and Walter Trout came and guested on one of the tracks. I think everyone's really going to enjoy that. So Audrey and I were both there for the recording sessions, and it's great to see this unfold and to see the creative process, especially for someone like me with absolutely no musical talent whatsoever. It's especially
join the club.
It's especially enlightening to see how this works and to see the mastery of the people who play this music. But we've enjoyed putting it out there in that form, and I think everyone is just waiting to get out and be able to play again live, although we're going to have to come up with some alternatives in the meantime. It looks like it may be a little bit longer than anyone had thought.
Yes, and you're in great company when you mention Duke Robillard and Anthony Gerassi in the same sentence. I guess since you know Monster Mike Welch, you must have crossed paths with Mike Ledbetter at some point.
Yes, actually, Audrey and I were at the very last concert that they did together, which happened to be in Boca Raton in December, before Mike Ledbetter's untimely passing. And they really were playing and sounding at a peak, and I think emotionally the audience absolutely knew this. It was extraordinary, and losing Mike Ledbetter was something that no one thought would have happened. He just was in great health, at a good point in life, and everyone loved him. I was honored to be involved. Danielle Nicole asked me to get involved in the first fundraiser to raise money for his family, and we were able to set up funds for Holland and Michael, Mike Ledbetter's children, to help them go to college, and we did a series of fundraisers throughout the country for his family. So a great loss, but we were honored actually to have some exclusive performances filmed with them at the Blues Music Awards in our sessions, and we've released most of that, but we'll continue to over time. Very honored to be in the presence of such greatness.
Yeah, in fact, I think that's where we met, at the Lucerne Blues Festival, when Mike and Mike performed there in 2018, I think, or 2017. That was.
But and Lucerne has been a place that has certainly introduced me to many artists. One of the beautiful things I will say about the blues community that you have, Mark, is that you have introduced us to some people in our own backyard. I've met some people, American blues artists, who played in Switzerland, and that's where I met them, because they weren't given the same recognition in America that they were given in Switzerland. You have a very supportive, strong blues community that's doing the right thing for blues musicians worldwide.
There's also the Porretta Soul Festival in the province of Bologna in Italy, and many of the soul artists, Bobby Rush, George McRae, there's a whole set that I'm not going to mention all the names, but they come to Italy to get their due desserts.
It's a very vibrant blues scene. I think we're going to weave together the world blues music scene in a way that it hasn't been connected before when we're done with this. If we handle it the right way, it's an opportunity, and we shouldn't miss the chance, because I think we can come out of this with much more insight, with much more connectedness, and much more appreciation of everyone around the world.
Sure. Also, Audrey, I want to mention to you, I don't know if you've been up to Canada, but there's a very vibrant and a fantastic blues scene in Canada, all the way from Newfoundland all the way to the West Coast. It's a fantastic scene up there.
Yes, I've been to Canada. Unfortunately, I have not visited any blues venues when I was there, but we do have several Canadian blues musicians that come to Florida. We have Paul Delorier and Anthony Gomes. They down here quite often, and it's always a pleasure. They bring us very special flair and incredible talent, so we're honored to have them whenever they come.
Yeah, the Toronto Blues Society has a blues summit every 2 years, and I recommend, it's in January, so it's easy to get up there. The airplanes are empty because nobody wants to go there when it's so cold. But the summit, it's 4 days of showcases, culminating in the Maple Blues Awards. It's a fantastic way to spend 4 days and meet so many people in the blues community, not only from Canada, they come from all over the world.
I've heard incredible stories about that event, and I hope to get up there sooner than later for sure. Definitely.
Yeah. I'm almost out of time. I got 10 minutes left in the show. I want to thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And I hope we get to do it again. And, anytime this thing clears and you guys are able to travel again, you're welcome to come and be guests here live in the studios of Radio Bern RaBe. But I really want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity. This has been a wonderful experience for me, and I think, and my listeners.
It's been an honor for us. I really, I can't thank you enough, Mark, for making this possible. Audrey and I are truly appreciative of this chance to be in connection with your listeners. We wish everyone a very safe and healthy year. Let's all stay uplifted and listening to great blues on Blues Zeppelin.
Thank you. And one last thing, there are a lot of people who are isolating and living alone for whatever reason. And I'd like to ask your listeners also, just every day contact somebody via telephone or social media, because there are a lot of people who are very lonely and would really benefit from some social contact.
We can all do that, and we all should do that. Thank you, Mark.
Yes.
My pleasure. We're going to go out of this interview. Speaking of Canada, Steve Mariner, the wonderful musician from Ontario, he just sent me 2 tracks, and this new one the second one that he sent me is called Something Something, and it features Samantha Martin and Mwanza Mwanza on background vocals and Aaron Goldstein on the pedal steel. So we're going to go out listening to Steve Mariner. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark.
I got something that's in my mind. Something that happened.